The Springboks, All Blacks and Wallabies are one win away from beginning the season by sweeping their European rivals and clinching a series victory to open the 2024 Test season. This is the Money Man SA Rugby magazine preview of the weekend, and I've got Welsh legend Scott Gibbs with me. Scotty, not a great start for Wales on this tour in Sydney, unfortunately.
No, that's right. I mean, there was a lot of optimism coming into the tour with a new bunch of players. A lot being rested for physiological reasons, which is great. Some on away from the camp because of personal reasons. But that said, you know, it's a Welsh squad. It's the best of the best. We are now seeing an emergence of what is the talent looking forward into this next Rugby World Cup cycle. It's going to be a slow burn for us
Right.
Welsh supporters. That said, there was some encouragement last week, for sure, noticeable. The standout performance of the day was Aaron Wainwright, for sure.
Yeah.
I think, you know, isn't that great now for Gatland, looking forward to the autumn and to the Six Nations, that in lieu of Faletau's absence and his injury situation, which has become a little bit of an issue for him as he gets a little bit longer in the tooth, that Aaron Wainwright stood up like a Greek god on Saturday. Unfortunately, a hamstring injury is going to take him out for 4 months. So, huge blow for them. Plumtree comes back in at number 8.
Yeah.
So we get to see him maybe in his natural environment too, to add another dimension to the depth of the back row balance. You know, that said, the scrum and the line out last weekend, the fundamentals of rugby let the Welsh team down.
Agreed.
Decision-making, leadership in the middle of the field let us down. And yet, there was enough in that game to say, like, you know, grab it by the throat and bring the victory home. We move on a week. We're in Melbourne, Amy Park. I can't think of an Amy Park game that shoots the lights out. It always seems to be a doozy there, doesn't it? I'm not sure if it's a difficult place to play or not, but Melbourne always seems to be the second city that gets this kind of match decider. So
The Rebels couldn't survive there.
well, that's right, and that's another story.
Yeah.
So, you know, the pressure is mounting. The pressure is mounting on Gatland. I still think he is the guy.
Okay.
Now, I think we have to look deeper, not into the squad, but maybe into the coaching. And are there question marks and creaks now starting to come in about maybe Jonathan Humphreys, the forwards coach? Is there a question mark on Forshaw, the defence coach? I don't think so quite yet. Alex King, the attacking guru. So when it comes to leadership and making decisions, maybe that is the hardest decision after this tour, is that the review. We look at where we went right, what we got wrong as a player group, albeit as thin on the ground as was available, but more so, are there personnel changes that we're going to make or need to make looking forward to the autumn and the Six Nations in the backroom stuff? So I think that's an interesting aspect.
Yeah.
But for me, you know, when you're an international player, whether you are a rookie, whether you're a debutant, you have to start demonstrating leadership and sound game management. And I think our midfield, the Welsh midfield, need to take that ownership to another level. We need to see deliberate action, you know, because I think we got the minerals. I think we got the pace. We certainly got the physiology to compete at this level. So we need to find go forward ball. We need to find clarity of thought, and we need to find execution. And you know, that's a whole. There's a lot of words there that you need to find in a week's preparation.
Yeah.
But it has to be underpinned by solid foundation. You know, set piece, the kick chase, the defense. Didn't see many turnovers last week. So, you know, I think we need to see more of the game, more in the game from Wales for them to realistically compete on Saturday. Because Schmidt has had, you know, very much the same preparation time with his players, and yet there seemed to be more of a seamless transaction. There was a lot of flow with their game. So they were going to increase that intensity, I dare say, on Saturday.
I think Wales, there's certainly like a domino effect. I think you bring Adam Beard back, some of those front row players, and I think that parity you're looking for up front may set the platform for that midfield to fire better. Obviously, that can't happen this week, right? So
no, but it's interesting you say that. You know, you mentioned Adam Beard. You know, you missing Jack Morgan. There's about 16 players with a lot of experience, test match experience, that's just not available for one reason or another. That's not an excuse. But what we did see on Saturday was, our tight five trying to compete. I thought our locks were tremendous under the pressure, and that just shows you that David Jenkins and Christians, they come from the academy of Exeter Rugby. And what does that represent? When there's consistent messaging week in, week out, leadership, from your man at the top there, Baxter, is that always is well run. It's a well-disciplined side. So you can see that these guys have that in abundance. So that was a key takeaway for me last week, is that under all of that pressure, you had two guys very young in their international career, thriving, looking the part, belonging on the field, and that's what we want to see out of a Welsh performance. Is that, is that pace, is that understanding, but it has to be underpinned, as I say, by strong fundamentals, and leave the sloppiness to another time, but. So it's going to be a tough test match, and I don't see that the outcome is going to favour Wales. I just think that they need to have more of the game and be in a position to win and to see what that feels like. Totally. Hey guys, look around, believe in ourselves. We can do that. We are one kick away. Another couple of turnovers. We can change the dynamic of this game, and they'll be the takeaways that Gatland they'll want to absorb and go, we're on the right plan. We're on the right plan. It's just going to take time. And, in a few months' time, when we have a lot more players back, a lot more firepower, a lot more of the cattle, as you refer to, then we can go into the autumn, with a much confident swagger about ourselves.
The result didn't go Wales' way. The result didn't go England's way in Dunedin. This week, the challenge goes up a level at Eden Park.
Of course it does, and this is a coulda, woulda, shoulda. England left too many points on the field. That was a game that they look back and go, that was a take. We should have wrapped that one up with the energy and the effort and the discipline and the blitz and the time in possession. We should have wrapped that up. Unfortunately, now they go to Eden Park. 102-year history of that ground has only spewed out 10 wins for the opposition. Wow. So that's 10 defeats in Auckland at Eden Park over 100-year history.
So you're saying they've got a good shot?
Name me an arena in the world where that has happened. That's the record. Yeah. I mean, now that comes with obviously expectation. Yeah. It's a totally different, ball game when you go to Eden Park. And those who have played there, and the opposition just feels 5 foot taller. So the stakes do go up.
Yeah, you were impressed with Joe Schmidt's first test in charge of the Wallabies. What was your take on Razor's All Blacks?
I liked the continuity that I saw. I really did. I could see shapes there that that this is looking towards what a rugby championship performance will take, which is a lot of effort, a lot of energy, but a lot of intrinsic value about getting in the right places. And I thought their middle 30 game, the game between the posts down there, I thought they controlled that. Perinara was key to that. And you always have to have that kind of, Mr. Perpetual Motion in play all the time. First 20 minutes, first half an hour, Damien McKenzie's decision making, with his laterals, with his fades, you couldn't fault that. But suddenly the pressure came on. And then that's what happens when pressure gets put on athletes. You start to drop into the pocket, you start to make, lousy calls, and suddenly the game shifts a little bit. So I'm surprised that Mackenzie gets another start, but he has an opportunity to redeem himself. And I think now he has to be a lot smarter with his ball distribution. Now, that's not only just finding those laterals and finding and communicating with his outside players, inside players, is that I think we might see a little bit more on the ground, what I say worm balls, bird balls from Mackenzie.
Yep.
Especially in this open environment in Auckland where the wind is swirling all sorts of places, is that yes, the ball will hang in the air, but I think it will yield better results for All Blacks if they start to do the bird ball and these little air ball things, where your chances of retaining possession are a lot higher. So it's a lower average type play. And interestingly, and then this is maybe to educate the viewers, is on Saturday, don't be surprised to see that I learned this in rugby league. When the ball goes across the floor, on the floor, with the kick, the third bounce, always look for the third bounce. You may not realize that. Yeah. But now whether it's sunk in, watch it on Saturday. Yeah. Watch how that ball kicks back after the third. That's when you have to anticipate.
Right.
And collect.
Right.
And I've always found that, and I don't see it. But when you start to see, you see it all the time. It's the third bounce.
It's the third
and players go diving for the second or the 2.5. No, let the cherry bounce. It'll bounce back to you in the third.
Brilliant.
So I see that's where Mackenzie can be a different maker on Saturday. Is his use of ball at the line. If he hasn't got, if he doesn't see the look, that he has to revert to the game on the floor or the game in the air.
Ball didn't bounce for TJ Perinara. Heartbreaking injury for him. I thought he was playing fantastically before he broke down there.
Fantastic. I mean, he looked 10 years younger, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looked great.
And of course that's probably another hallmark of the teachings under Razor. That you see a player that has been perennially a great player, but you just saw another level of excitement and energy from him in execution, and tragic for him in that regard.
And England have stayed with the same team. Finn Baxter comes in for the injured Joe Marler. Otherwise,
Finn Baxter, he looks like he just coached the under-14s, doesn't he?
He does, mate. Absolutely, the elixir of
But
youth.
he had some nice touches.
Yeah.
He had some nice touches. He wasn't overawed in the moment, and he got released. He banged a little. He dropped his shoulder. He got a little offload. He got early rip on the ball. And I think England across the ball would be very happy. Tick, 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 tick. Strong fundamentals, kicking game good. Just lousy at the post, converting points, pressure into points.
Yeah. We spoke about that earlier in the week. Were you surprised by the goal kicking inaccuracy, the struggles in that department in an indoor stadium?
Yeah, clearly. But, both sides were at fault. I mean, there's theories about it. I've never, ever tried to kick a goal. That's never been my métier. Yeah. But the fact is, at international level, is like these guys, you wonder, they kick them from all over the place in all sorts of conditions. Yeah. And yet in the comfort of your own living room, essentially.
Bizarre.
Yeah. And, this is test match. Test matches are won on those things. A kick, a goal, a bounce of the ball, a decision going against you. So they'll be mindful of that. Yeah. But there was a ton of energy. You just got to be continually impressed that, Cunningham South, as young as he is, as inexperienced as at level, again, just belongs. Another key aspect of England's emerging talent on show. A lot of fine performances by the English on Saturday. Yeah. And I just, when you look at the counter-attack, your man at full-back, what was his name? The Northampton guy.
Furbank. Georgie
Furbank, yeah. There was just a deliberate action every time. He ran with ferocity, and, he stepped, he broke. The first, second tackler, is that I think they're going to curb that. They will definitely try and curb.
Shut him down.
Shut him down, yeah. Because he was a huge threat and he was an impetus for England to get quick go-forward ball. So England, maybe a little bit like Wales in the context, you'd like to see a little bit more penetration or a little bit more deliberateness deliberateness in the midfield. And very much so with with the All Blacks midfield. You know, great on the wider channels, but I think you know in Eden Park, where, as you said, there's a lot of intangibles in the air with the wind and potential rain and just the you know, the dew on the ball, is that you just got to protect it a little bit and maybe bring the shift in a couple of meters and keep punching away, creating pressure. You know, like it's like knocking a piece of glass. Just keep knocking until it just explodes. So a lot of interesting aspects about how both sides will play on Saturday. But I think if Mackenzie is not driving the bus after half an hour, 40 minutes, then
Shepherd's Hook.
Shepherd's Hook, yeah, because you can't afford yourself a chunk of time where you were not in the ascendancy.
So this is the end of the season for these European teams. And obviously the start of the international season for the Southern Hemisphere sides. How much of a factor is it that these European sides go into this knowing this is it? After this, there's a good break. And how much ring rust is there in these Southern Hemisphere teams, do you think?
Well, so it's the answer that one first. The ring rustiness is just because they had the last time they were all together as a squad was the World Cup. So you know, they're maybe 2 weeks in. There's mini camps here, etc., etc. But they're starting to feel the body language and the chies is coming back, isn't it? And of course, they go on to the Rugby Championships, will extend us into the end of September, October, or whatever. So for all of those European teams, yeah, this is the last time. This is the last game of the season, you know. So there's no, tired bodies. You know, that's behind you. You're only as good as your last good game, and I think that would be the impetus for Wales and with England this weekend. It's like, let's really finish on a high, whether that is a performance, whether that is an individual performance, whether that is a victory. Just finish on a high. Because, these guys will come home now and they'll have an appropriate rest period, but it means no football for them. And there's no better feeling, really, that when you leave the shores of Auckland or, you know, you fly out of Johannesburg on Sunday night, is that, you know, you took away a victory.
Is that going to happen, Scotty?
Well,
Ireland got it in there.
No, Ireland. I think Ireland now have the enviable position to pitch up this week, where no one's going to give them a chance, really. Certainly in these waters. But the fact is, you know that they're a resilient side. They finished strong last weekend.
Yes,
they really did. You know, the toll of last weekend's physicality you read earlier on in the week. A lot of guys banged up. Rassie names his 23 and everybody looks mint. Just shows you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the fact is, Farrell has the full complement, apart from obviously the two major injuries to Sheehan and to Casey.
Yeah.
So they've had some prep time. I think that they will be ferociously independent about protecting their sanity in the early exchanges. They have to start well. That first 20 minutes, half an hour for Ireland, it is where they set the tone, and it's where they usually dominate size. So I think that, yes, there may be a shift towards more territory, but I also think their patterns are going to change. I think their pods, they want to get into them a lot more earlier. And I don't see the continuity in kind of continuing and trying to find some space on the periphery in the 5 meter channel.
Yep.
I think there's going to be a shift off the line out into the midfield, and I think we're going to come back.
Yeah.
And we're going to see some of the classic plays that we see in Dublin, where they've unpicked the Springboks before, and where they've unlocked the All Blacks before. They'll come around, they'll come back into that middle 30 channel.
As you fold, they go back.
And as that attracts the defence to the ruck into the middle 30, I think they'll come back. They'll come back on a sweep, and they may even look at the ball inside.
Beautiful.
So I think that's where I see there's the methodology of trying to keep the Springboks defence guessing
Yes.
rather than it being predictable.
Well, speaking about the guessing, the Boks had them guessing last week with the way that they played. Do you
Yeah.
think that shell shock has worn off now, and Ireland will be way better prepared for whatever comes at them this weekend?
Well, preparation is everything, Sally. And let's isolate that first try again.
Yeah.
Whether that was premeditated, whether it was a look, they saw the shape, they had a quick read,
Yep.
And everyone was in position to shift the ball from left to right, right to left, and found Curtly Arons on a one-on-one situation. The fact is that I wouldn't be surprised if they throw that one in straight away again.
Yeah.
Just to see, are you listening?
Yeah.
Were you listening?
I like that.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Because it just gives them an idea of actually how the defense is spread.
Yeah.
And can we get a quick guy, a big guy on a smaller tight five opposition? So, I wouldn't see that play coming late in the game as more of we're chasing the game, we need to find something. I think that's an early look to see, are you listening? Are you being cute?
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact is, a lot of people have come up to me this week and said, oh my gosh, Jesse Creel, Delende, I've never seen them have so much ball, distribution, etc. I said, well, this is maybe a new shift, new paradigm.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they can't do what that they're built to do. The fact is, it just shows you exactly the array of talent that you do have. Now, isn't that a form of expression? And one thing I always admire about Rassi is that, show me what you got.
Yeah.
Show me what you got.
Not shy to experiment.
Not shy to experiment.
Yeah. Well, Fabian.
But not without prudence, as I always say.
No,
is that
100%.
It's not always about trying to
Not a wild
show
game.
off.
Yeah.
It's about expressing your talent, but it's got to be harnessed in the right way, and that's about looking at the opposition in front of you, where you find some strengths and weaknesses, and how you attack that. But all that has to happen. It has to happen with flow, with clarity, and it has to happen with execution. And like I said earlier in the week, Zelly, one of the hallmarks out of that early play, that early try for me, was the depth and the squareness.
Yeah.
This is all about legs and shoulders, and everyone bought into it magnificently. So I think this is the start. I think the start of it.
Yeah. Fabien Galtier sent an experimental side, you could say, to Argentina, and not sure how much of that game you watched, Scott, but
I didn't see anything. It was a bit late in the day, and I had a little bit too much tequila in the afternoon. So I was actually watching the second half of the Boks game, I guess, with my glasses.
We won't get too deep into it, but a hell of a result.
Yeah, a hell of a result for them, which will obviously put Argentina on the back foot, marred obviously by tragic and awful things off the field.
Yeah.
It's there to be seen, and that's not where you and I can comment on. But maybe a failed experiment. Despite the win, little comfort in that when the disgrace of the field issues now has marred what potentially could have been a developmental success in Argentina.
Yeah.
And it's kind of blown back in their face that maybe there's a lack of leadership not only off the field but with the management, that they could let things like this slip so horribly bad.
So these guys are back again this week, all four of the teams from the south against all four of the teams from the north. Just your take, what are your thoughts on France? Can they go back to back and sweep Argentina? In Argentina?
Well, of course they can. I think obviously they'll be reeling with what's happened off the field, but I think that's such a deep bruising scar for a lot of, and a distraction. That this is an opportunity now for Argentina to wipe off the blood.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on, we got handed a very heavy defeat.
Yeah.
Against ragtag and bobtail outfit. No disrespect to this emerging French team, is that you'd expect better from a very passionate rugby country.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it was Matera had more than double the caps of that entire French pack. Just unbelievable. So yeah, I'm also picking Argentina to win. I think they bounce back. I'm not sure if you've got a scoreline on that one, Scott, or you just want to pick the result.
No. Listen, hopefully I'll be complimentous and I'll watch the second one. But I got caught up in everything. Everything that was South Africa last week.
You're in the Republic, mate.
I mean, you felt like you were in Loftus.
Yeah.
And yes, it wasn't the Clippies and Coke, but
okay.
Yeah, I was being suitably lubricated. Yeah.
Great hospitality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You guys know it, yeah. Can't say no.
So they're in Durban this week. Let's get a result. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to my earlier week prediction, and I think that is yes. I think Ireland will come out and start well, and they're gonna try and create that scoreboard pressure separation, but. I think it would be an insult to last weekend's performance if the Boks didn't rise it another 10-15%, and that's why I still think this could be a 30-22 type of victory for the Boks, because yes, I noticed this. There's no more rugby for Ireland, so there is no tomorrow.
Correct.
As they say, there is no tomorrow.
Correct.
But the fact is, you still have the bomb squad, you still have fresh legs coming on. And late in the game, I think it's going to count. And that this is a type of performance where Andre Pollard scores a try, and his tally could be 21 points. Because he'd be like, I was a little bit off colour. I got my head together, and screw you. This is what I'm capable of.
Yeah, I agree with that. England, did they get their third win on New Zealand soil, or is Eden Park safe this week?
Well, this is another one that I think they were so close last week, and I think it's such a there's physicality, there's blitzed events that they have, there's a lot of understanding, there's a lot of good elements to England's game. I just don't like it's at Eden Park. I really don't. I think the history there, as I said, it's been a graveyard of ambition. So
I love that.
Yeah, and I just think that Razor will be quite happy, with his preparation this week.
Give us a score. Give us a score. Come on.
I'm going to say 25-20 to the All Blacks. Yeah. I think there's a 5 points there. Because I still believe that if they can utilise Reece and Talea in the right manner.
My goodness.
Yeah. Then they can put more of a polish to a performance. But Damien McKenzie has to deliver. He has to keep that side going forward. He has to. They have to believe in his trust that he's doing the right thing. So yeah, you watch. If he starts to falter, and he starts to retreat into the pocket, I think that he'll be replaced quite swiftly. And then we got another Barrett guy who was just master of pinning the corners and being far more deliberate with his actions, which is what All Black Rugby's all about.
Totally. And a Test centurion. I mean, he's been there and done it. It's old hat.
Oh yeah, well that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got Argentina to win. We've got the Springboks to win. We've got the All Blacks to win. Can Wales save Europe's dignity this weekend?
I'm going to say it's going to be too much of an ask. And I say that with what I saw last week, trying to change your set piece and get it 100% effective and efficient a week after such a fragile performance in at the line out and at the scrum. I think there'll be elements of that game where they think they're in it, but I just think there'll be too much cohesion and understanding of game-winning theory iterated to them by their coach, and I see that as a 10-point margin, maybe 10-point margin, 8-point, 10-point margin for Australia. Just the understanding.
What's the score there?
21-12.
Wow. Okay.
if that's possible.
Yeah. Well, Scotty, I hope you are able to keep both eyes on the telly this week. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and enjoy the rugby, and we'll be back next week.